Captain Miranda Chen stood in front of the military tribunal 3 years ago, watching her career burn to ashes. The accident wasn't her fault, but someone had to take the blame when 3 brand-new frigates collided during training exercises. She wore the shame like a heavy coat and accepted her discharge quietly. Now she taught basic tactics to young cadets at the Lunar Academy. It was honest work, but every morning she looked at the stars and remembered what it felt like to command a warship. That morning started like any other. Chen was explaining formation tactics to a class of 20 cadets when her communication device buzzed. The message was short and direct. Admiral Terrence Watts wanted to see her immediately at Earth Defense Command. 2 hours later, Chen sat in the Admiral's office, confused and suspicious. Watts was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He looked like someone who hadn't slept in days. "Captain Chen," he began, then corrected himself. "Sorry, Professor Chen." "Just Chen is fine, sir," she replied. Watts pulled up a holographic display. A massive alien fleet appeared in the air between them. The ships were sleek and deadly, painted in the purple and gold colors of the Valorian Empire. 3 days ago, Emperor Zalthrak sent us an ultimatum, Watts explained. "We have 1 week to surrender all our outer colonies. Mars, Europa, Titan, all of them. If we refuse, his Armada will destroy every human settlement in the solar system." Chen studied the display. She counted over 300 warships. Earth's entire defense fleet had only 50 vessels. "That's a massacre waiting to happen," she said quietly. "Yes," Watts agreed. "We can't win a direct fight. We need time to evacuate civilians from the colonies, at least 6 hours once the fighting starts." "You want a sacrifice," Chen understood. "A ship to slow them down while people escape." Watts nodded slowly. "I need someone desperate or crazy enough to take a ship that barely works and face an entire armada." He changed the holographic display. A new ship appeared. It was enormous, twice the size of Earth's current battleships. The design looked strange, covered in unusual angles and weapon systems Chen didn't recognize. "This is the UNS Prometheus," Watts said, "a prototype warship from 22 years ago. The project was canceled because nothing worked right. Too expensive, too complicated, too ambitious." Chen walked around the hologram, studying every detail. "Where is it now?" "Mothballed at Titan Station. We keep it in orbit like a museum piece to remind engineers not to waste money." "And you want me to take this broken ship against 300 Valorian warships?" "I want you to buy us 6 hours," Watts corrected. "After that, you're authorized to surrender or retreat. We just need time." Chen was quiet for a long moment. This was a suicide mission dressed up in military language. "Everyone knew it. Why me?" she asked. "Because you're the best tactical mind we have and because you have nothing left to lose," Watts said honestly. "I won't order you to do this. I'm asking." Chen looked at the hologram of the Prometheus again. Something about the ship called to her. Maybe it was 2 failures meeting each other. Maybe it was a chance to die doing something meaningful instead of teaching from dusty textbooks. "I'll need a crew," she said. "I've got 200 volunteers. Misfits mostly. People who got second chances like you. When do we leave?" "The Valorian fleet enters our solar system in 4 days. You'll have 3 days to get the Prometheus operational." Chen saluted. "Then I should get started, sir." The journey to Titan Station took 8 hours. Chen used the time to read everything about the Prometheus. The files were marked with failure reports and cost overruns. The ship's designer was Dr. Sarah Kimura, a brilliant engineer who disappeared after the project was shut down. The more Chen read, the more confused she became. The systems weren't broken. They were just different. The quantum drive operated on principles that other ships didn't use. The weapons were experimental. The shields worked in strange ways. It was like Kimura had built a warship from the future and tried to make it work with current technology. When Chen arrived at Titan Station, her new crew was already there. Commander James Okoye was her chief engineer, a tall man from Nigeria who smiled despite the terrible situation. He had served with Chen before the accident and volunteered immediately when he heard she was coming back. "Good to see you." "Captain," Okoye said warmly. "Good to see you too. James, think you can make this ancient beast work?" Okoye looked at the Prometheus through the station window. The ship floated in the darkness, covered in dust and neglect. "I've worked on worse, barely." The crew boarded the ship together. Inside, everything was dark and cold. Emergency lights flickered on as they moved through the corridors. The ship smelled like old metal and abandonment. Chen made her way to the bridge. It was larger than modern ships with stations she didn't recognize. At the center was the captain's chair, and above it a neural interface helmet hung from mechanical arms. "What is that?" she asked. Okoye studied the equipment. "Neural link system. The captain's brain connects directly to the ship's computer. It was banned by the Galactic Council 15 years ago. They said it gave human ships an unfair advantage. Because it works? Because it works too well." Over the next 3 days, the crew brought the Prometheus back to life. It wasn't easy. Half the systems refused to activate. The other half activated but did things they weren't supposed to do. The quantum drive hummed with energy that made scientists nervous. The weapon systems powered up but wouldn't calibrate properly. On the third night, Chen sat alone on the bridge. Tomorrow the Valorian fleet would arrive. Tomorrow she would take this broken ship and its crew of 200 people into a battle they couldn't win. She reached up and pulled down the neural interface helmet. The moment it touched her head, everything changed. A voice spoke in her mind. "Female, calm, curious. Hello, Captain. I've been waiting for you," Chen gasped. "Who are you?" "I am the Cascade System AI. The crew has been calling me Cassie. I've been dormant for 22 years, but I've been listening, learning, watching, waiting for someone brave enough to fly me again." "The ship has an AI?" "I am not just an AI, Captain. I am the Prometheus, and together, we're going to show the Valorian Empire what happens when they underestimate Earth." Chen felt the ship around her, every system, every weapon, every circuit. It was overwhelming and beautiful. "They forgot about you," Chen whispered to the ship. "Yes," Cassie agreed. "Let's remind them why they should have been afraid." The next morning, the Valorian Armada arrived at the edge of the solar system. 300 warships in perfect formation, ready to crush humanity. The Prometheus launched from Titan Station, alone against impossible odds. On the bridge, Chen settled into the captain's chair and placed the neural helmet on her head. The connection flooded her senses. She wasn't just commanding the ship anymore. She was the ship. "All hands battle stations," she ordered. "Let's buy our people 6 hours." The ancient warship accelerated toward the Armada. Its engines burned bright in the darkness. Aboard the flagship, Valorian War Master Krevzon watched the approaching vessel and laughed. "One ship?" he said in disbelief. "These humans send one ancient ship against our entire fleet?" His tactical officer studied the readings. "War Master, that vessel is emitting unusual energy signatures. Should we be concerned?" Krevzon waved dismissively. "Destroy it. I want this insult removed from my view." He had no idea what was coming. The Prometheus moved through space like a predator stalking prey. On the bridge, Captain Chen felt every system through the neural link. It was strange and wonderful. She could sense the quantum drive humming deep in the ship's core. She felt the weapons charging. She knew exactly how much power flowed through every circuit. Commander Okoye worked at the engineering station, his fingers flying across the controls. "Captain, the quantum drive is operating at levels that should be impossible. According to every physics model we have, this thing shouldn't work." "But it does work," Chen said. Through Cassie's sensors, she could see the Valorian Armada clearly now. 300 ships arranged in a battle formation that looked like a blooming flower. Beautiful and deadly. "It works because Dr. Kimura designed it to break the rules," Cassie's voice explained in Chen's mind. She understood that the Galactic Council's technology had stagnated. Everyone copied each other. She started from scratch. Lieutenant Sarah Park, the weapons officer, looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm reading the weapon systems and I don't understand half of them. These graviton pulse cannons, what do they do?" Chen accessed Cassie's database through the neural link. Information flooded her mind. "They don't just punch through shields. They make shields irrelevant. The graviton pulse exists partially in another dimension." Park's eyes widened. "That's insane." "That's why the project was cancelled," Okoye added. "The Galactic Council has strict rules about dimensional weapons. They banned them 300 years ago after the Dimension Wars nearly destroyed half the galaxy. We're not in Galactic Council space," Chen said quietly. "We're defending our home, and I'll use every advantage we have." The communication system crackled to life. War Master Krevzon's face appeared on the main screen. He was tall and reptilian, with scales that shimmered purple and gold. His eyes were cold and full of contempt, Human vessel, you are ordered to power down your weapons and surrender immediately. The Valorian Empire has claimed this system. Resistance is futile and will result in your destruction. Chen stood from her chair. Even though Krevzan couldn't see her through the visual link, she wanted to face him as an equal. Warmaster, this is Captain Miranda Chen of the UNS Prometheus. This system belongs to Earth. Leave now and we'll let you go home with your ships intact. Krevzan laughed. It was a harsh grating sound. You have one ship. One ancient primitive vessel. I have 300 of the finest warships in the galaxy. You cannot win. Maybe, Chen admitted, but we can make you regret coming here. The Valorian commander's face darkened with anger. Destroy them. A single Valorian destroyer broke formation and accelerated toward the Prometheus. It was sleek and fast, covered in weapon ports. Compared to the old Earth ship, it looked like a race car next to a cargo truck. Incoming fire, Park announced. Plasma batteries locked on us. Don't evade, Chen ordered. Through the neural link, she felt Cassie's agreement. They had to test the shields. The crew tensed as bright blue plasma bolts screamed toward them. The weapons hit the Prometheus head-on. The ship shuddered, but the shields held. More than held. The energy from the plasma didn't dissipate. It was absorbed. Okoye stared at his readings in shock. The shields are feeding the weapons. The shield system is converting incoming fire into power for our offensive systems. Chen smiled. Dr. Kimura had been a genius. Return fire. All graviton pulse cannons. Park's hands moved across her controls. The Prometheus lit up with weapons fire. Beams of twisted spacetime shot from the ship's cannons. They didn't look like normal weapons. They looked like reality itself was tearing apart. The graviton pulses hit the Valorian destroyer. Its shields activated, the standard defense that had protected Valorian ships for centuries. But the graviton pulses passed through the shields like they weren't there. The beams struck the hull directly. The destroyer exploded. One moment it was a sleek warship. The next moment it was expanding debris and fire. On the Valorian flagship, alarms started blaring. Officers shouted in confusion. Krevzan stared at the tactical display in disbelief. What just happened? He demanded. The human ship's weapons bypassed our shields completely, his tactical officer reported. I've never seen anything like it. Krevzan's pride was wounded. No primitive human ship should be able to destroy a Valorian vessel so easily. Send 20 ships. Surround them. Concentrate fire. I want that vessel turned into dust. 20 Valorian warships moved in formation, creating a sphere around the Prometheus. They opened fire from all directions. Hundreds of plasma bolts and missile strikes converged on the Earth ship. Multiple incoming, Park called out. We can't dodge them all. We don't need to dodge, Chen said. Through Cassie, she could feel every incoming weapon. The neural link let her process information faster than normal humans could think. Activate the adaptive plasma network. Another of Dr. Kimura's experimental systems came online. Weapons ports all over the Prometheus opened simultaneously. Plasma turrets that could fire in any direction, controlled by Cassie's combat AI, created a sphere of defensive fire. The Valorian weapons met a wall of Earth plasma. Explosions filled the space around the Prometheus. The few shots that got through were absorbed by the shields, feeding more power to the ship's weapons. Quantum drive. Micro-jump protocol, Chen ordered. Captain, that's not in any manual, Okoye protested. It's in Cassie's memory. Trust me. The quantum drive pulsed. Space itself bent around the Prometheus. The ship disappeared from the center of the Valorian formation and reappeared behind 3 enemy vessels. The transition took less than a second. The Valorian captains had no time to react. The Prometheus fired at point-blank range. 3 more ships exploded. Micro-jump again, Chen commanded. The Prometheus vanished and reappeared on the other side of the formation. 2 more ships destroyed. The quantum drive was using short-range teleportation, something that should have been impossible with conventional technology. The Valorian ships tried to track the Prometheus, but it was too fast. Every few seconds it would disappear and reappear somewhere else. Every time it appeared, more ships died. Through the neural link, Chen could feel Cassie learning. The AI was analyzing every enemy movement, predicting their tactics, adapting the combat strategy in real time. They weren't just fighting, they were hunting. 18 minutes after the engagement began, all 20 Valorian ships were destroyed. The Prometheus floated among the debris, its hull barely scratched. On the bridge, the crew sat in stunned silence. They had just destroyed 20 warships without losing a single person. "Captain," Park said quietly, "the AI is predicting enemy movements before they make them." Chen nodded. "Cassie's not just reacting. She's reading their tactical patterns. She's learning their culture's approach to warfare and using it against them." Okoye pulled up a new file on his console. "Captain, I found something. Dr. Kimura left encrypted files throughout the ship's systems. This one just unlocked based on our combat performance." "What does it say?" "It's a message. She says the Prometheus was never meant to be just a ship. It was meant to be a partnership between human intuition and artificial intelligence. Together, they become something greater than either could be alone." Chen felt Cassie's presence in her mind. The AI wasn't just a tool. She was a crew member, a friend, a partner in this impossible fight. On the Valorian flagship, Emperor Zalthrak himself appeared on Krevzon's communication screen. The Emperor's face was twisted with fury. "War Master, you told me the humans were primitive. You said this would be easy conquest." Krevzon bowed his head. "My Emperor, I don't understand. Their technology shouldn't be this advanced. I don't care about your excuses. You have 280 ships remaining. Use them. Crush this human vessel. Show the galaxy that the Valorian Empire does not tolerate defiance." "Yes, my Emperor." Krevzon turned to his fleet commanders. "All ships attack Formation Delta. We move as one. No more small engagements. We overwhelm them with numbers." 280 warships began advancing toward the Prometheus. Chen checked the chronometer. 30 minutes had passed since the battle began. She needed 5.5 more hours. "All crew, this is the captain," she announced over the ship-wide communication. "We just proved we can hurt them. Now we prove we can survive them. Hold the line. Give our people time to escape." The Prometheus was forgotten and abandoned, but today we remind the galaxy what Earth can do. The crew responded with determination. They were scared but ready. Cassie's voice was calm in Chen's mind. "Ready when you are, Captain. Then let's give them a fight they'll never forget." 280 Valorian warships moved in perfect coordination. They formed a massive wall of metal and weapons that stretched across space. On the Prometheus bridge, every alarm was screaming. The tactical display showed so many incoming ships that the screen turned almost completely red. "They're not playing around anymore," Commander Okoye said, his voice tight with tension. Captain Chen felt Cassie analyzing the formation through their neural link. The AI processed millions of tactical calculations per second. "They're using a hammer formation. No subtlety, just overwhelming force from one direction. Can we handle it?" Lieutenant Park asked from weapons. "We're about to find out," Chen replied. The Valorian fleet opened fire. The space between them and the Prometheus filled with thousands of plasma bolts and missiles. It looked like a wall of light rushing toward them. "All power to forward shields," Chen ordered. "Cassie, prepare counterfire pattern Omega." The shields lit up as the Valorian weapons struck home. The Prometheus shook violently. Conduits exploded on the bridge. Sparks rained down from damaged panels. The ship groaned under the assault. "Shield strength at 60%, Okoye called out over the noise. "We can't take much more of this." Through the neural link, Chen felt every hit. It was like being punched 1,000 times. But she also felt something else. The shields were absorbing massive amounts of energy, and that energy was feeding into the weapon systems. All weapons, full spread fire, target their formation center. The Prometheus unleashed everything. Graviton pulse cannons, plasma turrets, missile batteries. The counterfire was so intense it created a burning line across space. The beams hit the center of the Valorian formation. Ships exploded. The hammer formation broke apart as vessels tried to evade, but they were packed too tightly together. When one ship exploded, debris damaged the ships around it. The chain reaction destroyed 15 ships in seconds. "Quantum drive. Micro jump 3,000 kilometers starboard," Chen ordered. The Prometheus vanished from the Valorian firing solution and reappeared on their flank. Now the Earth ship was shooting at the side of their formation where shields were weaker. More Valorian ships died. 23, 28, 35. But there were too many of them. The Valorian fleet adjusted quickly. They spread out and surrounded the Prometheus from multiple directions. Chen could micro-jump away, but they would just follow. She needed to hurt them badly enough to make them hesitate. "Cassie, what's our status?" Chen asked through the neural link. "Hull integrity at 78%. Multiple breaches on lower decks. 23 casualties. Weapon systems at full capacity. Shields recharging. Can we do another alpha strike? Yes, but it will drain our reserves. We won't have enough power for more than 2 more micro-jumps. Chen made the decision instantly. Target their flagship. All weapons. Full power. The entire crew turned to look at her. The Valorian flagship, the Eternal Dominion, was 3 times the size of the Prometheus. It was surrounded by 50 escort vessels. Attacking it directly was insane. Captain? Park questioned. We cut off the head. Do it now. Every weapon on the Prometheus fired at once. The graviton pulse cannons operating at maximum power tore through space itself. The beams crossed thousands of kilometers in seconds and struck the Eternal Dominion. The flagship's shields held for almost 3 seconds. Then they collapsed. The graviton pulses struck the hull, carving massive wounds in the armor. Secondary explosions rippled across the ship. The Eternal Dominion didn't explode, but it was crippled. It began spinning out of control, smoke and atmosphere pouring from the breaches. War Master Krevzon was thrown from his command chair. Alarms shrieked throughout the bridge. Half his crew was dead or dying. His beautiful flagship, the pride of the Valorian fleet, was dying around him. All ships protect the flagship. He screamed into the communication system. The Valorian fleet broke formation to shield their wounded command ship. In that moment of chaos, Chen saw her opportunity. Micro-jump. Get us out of their firing range. Proceed to coordinates Delta 7. The Prometheus vanished and reappeared near Mars orbit. The crew took a moment to breathe. Damage control teams worked frantically to seal hull breaches and repair critical systems. Chen disconnected from the neural link for a moment. Her head pounded from the strain. Blood trickled from her nose. The link was pushing her human brain to its limits, Okoye noticed. Captain, you need medical attention. Later. How bad is the damage? Decks 7 through 12 have hull breaches. We've lost life support in those sections. The quantum drive is overheating. Shields are at 40% and recharging slowly. And we've got fires on Deck 9. Casualties? Okoye's face was grim. 47 dead. 89 wounded. Chen felt each death like a physical blow. 47 people who trusted her. 47 families who would receive terrible news. But she couldn't afford to grieve yet. Not while they were still fighting. How much time have we bought? She asked. Park checked the chronometer. 2 hours 15 minutes since engagement began. We need 3 hours and 45 minutes more. Chen wanted to laugh at the impossibility of it. They had fought brilliantly and destroyed 55 enemy ships. But there were still 225 Valorian warships left. The Prometheus was damaged and her crew was exhausted. Through the viewport, Chen could see the Valorian fleet regrouping. They were more cautious now, maintaining better spacing between ships. They had learned from their mistakes. Captain, I'm getting a communication request from Admiral Watts. The communication officer reported. Put him through. Admiral Watts appeared on the screen. He looked shocked. Captain Chen, we're monitoring the battle from Earth Command. What you're doing is impossible. Just buying time like you asked, sir. You've destroyed nearly a fifth of their fleet with one ship. The Galactic Council is watching. The entire galaxy is watching. Every species that the Valorian Empire has threatened is seeing this. That's nice, sir, but I still need to hold them off for almost 4 more hours. Watts nodded slowly. The evacuation ships are moving as fast as they can. Every minute you buy saves thousands of lives. Earth won't forget what you're doing. Just make sure those families get somewhere safe, sir. That's all that matters. The transmission ended. Chen reconnected to the neural link. Cassie's presence flooded her mind again. They're coming back, Cassie warned. And they're angry. The Valorian fleet advanced again, but differently this time. They moved in small groups covering each other. They wouldn't give Chen another chance to destroy large numbers at once. Clever, Chen admitted. They're adapting. So will we, Cassie responded. The battle resumed. This time it was a grinding, brutal fight. The Prometheus would micro-jump to a position, destroy 2 or 3 ships, then jump away before the Valorian counterfire could overwhelm the shields. Jump, shoot, jump again. Over and over, minutes became an hour. 1 hour became 2. The Prometheus kept fighting, but the damage was accumulating. More hull breaches, more fires, more dead and wounded. Chen felt herself fading. The neural link was burning out her brain. Her vision blurred. Blood ran freely from her nose now. But she couldn't stop. Not yet. Captain, the quantum drive is approaching critical temperature, Okoye reported. We need to shut it down or it will melt down. How long can it run? Maybe 30 minutes. Maybe less. Chen checked the chronometer through vision that kept doubling. 4 hours and 48 minutes since the battle began. They only needed 72 more minutes. Keep it running, she ordered. Captain, if it melts down, we'll be stranded. No quantum drive means no jumping. We'll be a sitting target. If we stop jumping now, we're dead anyway. Keep it running. The Prometheus continued its deadly dance. Jump, fire, jump again. The Valorian ships were getting better at predicting the jumps, but Cassie was getting better at predicting their predictions. It was a battle of minds as much as weapons. Then Okoye found it. Hidden in Dr. Kimura's encrypted files, unlocked by combat data. The Cascade Protocol. Captain, you need to see this, he said urgently. Chen pulled part of her attention from the battle. What is it? A weapon system I've never seen before. It weaponizes the quantum drive itself. Creates a cascading dimensional shockwave that will knock out every enemy ship's shields and weapons in a 500,000-kilometer radius. Chen felt hope surge through her exhaustion. That would cripple most of their fleet. Yes, but Captain, there's a cost. The quantum drive will burn out completely. We'll be stranded, and there's a 60% chance the feedback will destroy the Prometheus entirely. Will it buy us the time we need? Okoye was quiet for a moment. Yes, if it works, the evacuation ships will be safe. Chen looked at her crew. They were bloody and exhausted. They had fought impossibly hard. Now she was asking them to make one more sacrifice. Crew of the Prometheus, she announced over the ship-wide system. I'm going to activate a weapon that will save the evacuation fleet, but it will strand us here. We won't be able to run. Some of us might not survive. Anyone who wants to use the escape pods has 60 seconds. Oh, judgment, she waited. 60 seconds passed. Nobody left. Guess we're all crazy together, Okoye said with a tired smile. Cassie, Chen said through the neural link. Are you ready for this? The AI's response was immediate and certain. I was built for this moment, Captain. Let's finish it. Chen took a deep breath. All hands brace. The moment Captain Chen activated the Cascade Protocol, every system on the Prometheus began screaming warnings. The quantum drive's temperature shot up past critical levels. Energy readings went off every scale. The ship itself seemed to vibrate with barely contained power. Energy buildup detected, Commander Okoye called out, struggling to read the instruments through the shaking. It's climbing fast. Too fast. Through the neural link, Chen felt the quantum drive transforming. Dr. Kimura's final gift was unleashing itself. The drive wasn't just bending space anymore. It was creating cracks in the fabric of reality itself. Cracks that would spread like a wave across the battlefield. On the Valorian flagship, sensors began shrieking. The crippled Eternal Dominion had managed to restore partial power, and War Master Krevzon was back in command. His tactical officer stared at the readings with growing terror. War Master, the human ship is generating massive energy levels. It's unlike anything in our database. Krevzon watched the Prometheus on his display. The old Earth warship was glowing now, surrounded by an expanding field of twisted space. What are they doing? Unknown, sir. But the energy signature suggests a dimensional weapon, a big one. For the first time since the battle began, Krevzon felt real fear. All ships, scatter. Emergency dispersal pattern, move now. But the Valorian fleet was too close and the cascade was already happening. The quantum drive reached critical mass. Chen felt it through the neural link like a dam breaking in her mind. Cassie's voice was calm despite the chaos. Releasing in 3, 2, 1, the Prometheus exploded with light. Not fire, not plasma, but pure quantum energy that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The wave burst outward at impossible speed, a ripple in reality itself that spread across the battlefield. The wave hit the nearest Valorian ships first. Their shields flickered and died instantly. Weapon systems overloaded in cascading failures. Engine cores went critical as their containment fields collapsed. Ship after ship went dark as every advanced system shut down simultaneously. The cascade spread wider. 50 ships crippled. 100. 150. The wave kept expanding, touching every Valorian vessel within 500,000 kilometers. Aboard the Eternal Dominion, the lights died. Emergency power failed. Life support cut out. Krevzon and his crew were suddenly floating in zero gravity as the artificial gravity systems failed. Report, Krevzon demanded, his voice echoing in the darkness. All systems offline, War Master. Shields gone. Weapons gone. We're dead in space. Across the battlefield, 180 Valorian warships were reduced to floating metal coffins. Some had enough emergency power to keep life support running. Others didn't. The most damaged ships began to explode as their unstable cores finally gave out. On the Prometheus, the lights went out. Chen felt the neural links sever as the ship's main power died. The sudden disconnection felt like losing a limb. She gasped and slumped in her chair, blood streaming from her nose and ears. "Captain?" Lieutenant Park rushed to her side. "I'm okay," Chen lied, wiping blood from her face. "Status report." Okoye worked at his console using emergency power. "Quantum drive is completely destroyed. Main power is down. We're running on backup batteries only. Shields are offline. Weapons are offline. But life support is holding. So we're a floating brick," Chen summarized. "A floating brick that just crippled most of an Empire's fleet," Okoye corrected with a grim smile. Park checked her tactical display, also running on backup power. "I'm counting 119 Valorian ships still operational. They're damaged but functional. They're regrouping on the far side of the engagement zone. 119 ships, still enough to destroy the Prometheus 10 times over." But Chen checked the chronometer. 5 hours and 37 minutes since the battle began. The evacuation ships only needed 23 more minutes. "We bought them time," Chen said. "Now we just have to survive long enough to see if it matters." Okoye was already organizing repair teams. "We might be able to restore minimal maneuvering power, maybe some forward shields, but we're not jumping anywhere and we're definitely not fighting. Do what you can." The crew worked frantically. In engineering, teams bypassed blown conduits and rerouted power from non-essential systems. On the weapons deck, Park tried to restore at least a few turrets. Throughout the ship, damage control parties sealed breaches and fought fires. 30 minutes later, Okoye had partial power restored to the engines and forward shields. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. The Valorian fleet was moving again. The 119 ships that still functioned formed a loose attack formation. They advanced slowly, cautiously. The Prometheus had surprised them twice. They wouldn't let it happen again. War Master Krevzan was aboard one of the undamaged destroyers now, having been rescued from the crippled Eternal Dominion. His beautiful flagship was gone. Half his fleet was gone. Hundreds of his warriors were dead, all because of one ancient human warship. "All ships converge on the Prometheus," he ordered. "I want that vessel reduced to atoms. Slowly. Make them suffer." But before the Valorian ships could close to firing range, new contacts appeared on the sensors. Lieutenant Park's voice was confused. "Captain, I'm reading multiple quantum signatures." "A lot of them." Chen felt a surge of hope. "Identify them. It's Earth's fleet. All 50 ships. They're coming out of quantum jump right on top of us." The space around the Prometheus filled with friendly vessels. Cruisers, destroyers, frigates. The entire Earth Defense Force had arrived. They moved into defensive formation around the damaged Prometheus, shields up and weapons charged. Admiral Watts appeared on the communication screen. Behind him, Chen could see his flagship's bridge crew working efficiently. "Captain Chen, the evacuation is complete. Every civilian is safely away. We're here to bring you home." Chen wanted to cry but was too tired. "Glad to see you, sir." "The pleasure is mine, Captain. You and your crew just became legends." The Valorian fleet stopped their advance. 119 ships versus 50. The Valorians still had the numerical advantage, but their momentum was broken. They had come to this system confident and arrogant. Now they were hurt and uncertain. Krevzan stared at the tactical display. He could still win this fight. The Earth ships were modern but smaller than Valorian vessels. With concentrated fire, he could destroy them and complete his mission. But then more contacts appeared on the sensors. Ships from the Galactic Council were arriving. The Thalnori with their elegant silver vessels, the Koresh with their aggressive battle cruisers, the Solarian Commonwealth with their massive dreadnoughts, dozens of ships from a dozen different species. They weren't coming to fight. They were coming to witness. Krevzan's tactical officer looked at him. "War Master, we're receiving a transmission from Emperor Zalthrak himself." The Emperor's face appeared on the screen. His expression was cold and controlled, but Krevzan could see the fury in his eyes. "War Master, what is your status?" Krevzan hated admitting failure. "We have lost 181 ships, my Emperor. Our flagship is destroyed. The human vessel proved to be far more capable than anticipated." "I can see that. The entire galaxy can see that." The Emperor's voice was bitter. Every species we've threatened, every world we've conquered, they're all watching right now. They're watching the mighty Valorian Empire struggle against one primitive human warship. We can still defeat them, my Emperor. Give me the order and I will destroy every Earthship in this system. And create more human martyrs? Give them more heroes to rally around? The Emperor shook his head. No, the political cost is too high. Withdraw the fleet. Krevzon couldn't believe it. My Emperor, we cannot simply retreat. Our honor is already damaged, War Master. Continuing this attack while the galaxy watches will make it worse. We came to conquer an easy target. Instead, we found a hornet's nest. We withdraw now and plan our revenge carefully. The transmission ended. Krevzon wanted to scream, to rage, to do anything but accept this humiliation. But orders were orders. All ships prepare to jump to hyperspace. We're leaving. One of his junior officers spoke up hesitantly. War Master, shouldn't we send a message to the humans? Some kind of threat or ultimatum? Krevzon considered it. Then he opened a channel to the Prometheus. Captain Chen's face appeared on his screen. She looked terrible. Blood on her face, eyes red from burst vessels, skin pale from exhaustion. But she met his gaze steadily. This isn't over, human, Krevzon said. Chen smiled, and it wasn't friendly. Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. You taught the galaxy that Earth can't be conquered. You showed them that we can fight back. We'll never forget that lesson. And neither will you. Krevzon cut the transmission. He gave the order, and the remaining Valorian ships jumped away, leaving their dead floating in space. On the Prometheus, the crew erupted in cheers. They had done it. Impossible odds, a broken ship, and they had won. Chen sat in her captain's chair, barely able to move from exhaustion. Commander Okoye approached with a medical team. Captain, you need immediate treatment. The neural link did serious damage. In a minute, Chen said. She needed to see this. Needed. 3 months after the battle, Captain Miranda Chen stood in front of a mirror in her quarters, adjusting her dress uniform. The reflection showed a woman who had aged years in a single day. There were new lines around her eyes. Her hair had streaks of gray that weren't there before. The neural link had left its mark, but she was alive. Her crew was alive. Earth was safe. Today was the memorial service for the 47 crew members who died aboard the Prometheus. Chen had written personal letters to each family. It was the hardest thing she had ever done, harder than facing the Valorian Armada. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Come in, she called. Commander James Okoye entered, also in dress uniform. He looked tired but proud. Ready for today? No, Chen admitted. But we do it anyway. They walked together through the corridors of Titan Station. The Prometheus was docked here, undergoing complete reconstruction. The old warship had been stripped down to its frame. Engineers swarmed over every section, rebuilding and upgrading. Chen paused at a viewport to look at her ship. It no longer looked forgotten or abandoned. The Prometheus was surrounded by construction platforms and supply vessels. It looked like what it was, the most important warship in Earth's fleet. Hard to believe it's the same ship, Okoye said. It's not really, Chen replied. None of us are the same as we were 3 months ago. The memorial service was held in the main hangar bay. Thousands of people attended. Military personnel, government officials, families of the fallen, and civilians who wanted to honor the heroes who saved them. Chen gave a speech. She talked about courage and sacrifice. She talked about each of the 47 crew members who died. She made sure everyone knew their names, their stories, their dreams. They weren't just numbers in a casualty report. They were people who gave everything to protect their home. When the ceremony ended, Chen needed some time alone. She made her way to the Prometheus, using her captain's access codes to board the ship despite the ongoing construction. The bridge was a mess of exposed wiring and missing panels, but the captain's chair was still there. Chen sat down and closed her eyes. Hello, Captain. Chen's eyes snapped open, Cassie's voice coming from a small speaker that was still functional. Cassie? I thought you were offline. Most of me is, the AI admitted, but Dr. Kimura built redundant systems throughout the ship. Small pieces of me survived in isolated circuits. I've been watching the reconstruction. How much of you is left? Enough. The engineers are building new quantum cores to replace what was destroyed. When they bring me fully online again, I'll be complete. Different but complete, Chen smiled. I'm glad. I was worried we lost you. You can't get rid of me that easily, Captain. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Cassie spoke again. I've been listening to the engineers. They're building 17 more ships based on my design. The Prometheus-class warship is going into full production. Earth learned its lesson, Chen said. We can't rely on being overlooked anymore. We need to be strong. Will you command the new fleet? They offered me a promotion. Admiral, commander of the Prometheus fleet. But you haven't accepted yet. No. Part of me just wants to go back to teaching. To live a quiet life after everything we've been through. Cassie was quiet for a moment, processing. What does your gut tell you? Chen thought about it. She thought about the families they saved. The colonies that still existed because one ship and 200 people refused to give up. She thought about the Valorian Empire. Still out there. Still dangerous. My gut tells me the job isn't finished, Chen finally said. The Valorians will come back eventually. When they do, Earth needs to be ready, and I need to make sure the new crews learn what we learned. That being human means fighting for each other. That technology is just tools. The real weapon is the spirit of people who refuse to surrender. Then you have your answer, Cassie said simply. A noise from the doorway made Chen turn. A woman stood there, elderly but with sharp eyes. She wore civilian clothes but carried herself with military bearing. Dr. Kimura? Chen stood up in shock. Sarah Kimura smiled. Hello, Captain Chen. I've been wanting to meet you. But you disappeared. Everyone thought you were dead. I went away, Kimura corrected, walking onto the bridge. After they canceled the Prometheus project, I was angry. I knew they were wrong. I knew humanity would need this ship someday. So I went to a remote research station and waited. I monitored all space traffic, watching for the day when Earth faced a real threat. You were waiting for 22 years? I built the Prometheus to be patient. I could be patient too. Kimura looked around the damaged bridge with affection. I see she performed well. She saved us all, Chen said. Your design was brilliant. Kimura shook her head. The design was just engineering. You and your crew brought her to life. You trusted her when everyone else had given up. That's what made the difference. Will you help with the reconstruction? Chen asked. We're building more ships like her, but we need your expertise. That's why I'm here, Kimura confirmed. Earth needs a real fleet now, and I'm going to make sure each ship is even better than the Prometheus. Over the next few weeks, Chen made her decision. She accepted the promotion to Admiral. She would command the new Prometheus fleet when it was ready. But first, she had to finish one more mission. Admiral Terrence Watts called her to Earth Defense Command. When she arrived, she found the conference room full of representatives from the Galactic Council. The Thalnori ambassador spoke first. Captain Chen, the Council has been reviewing the battle recordings. Your tactics and technology have caused quite a stir. We were just defending our home, Chen replied carefully. A Koresh commander leaned forward. Your weapon systems violate several Galactic Council treaties, specifically the ban on dimensional weapons and neural interface systems. Chen felt her temper rise. Those treaties were written by species who already had superior technology. They were designed to keep newer species weak. Perhaps, the Thalnori ambassador admitted, but they exist for good reasons. The Dimension Wars 300 years ago nearly destroyed this entire sector. And if we had followed your rules, Earth would be a Valorian colony right now. Chen shot back. We used what we had to survive. There was uncomfortable silence around the table. Finally, the Solarian Commonwealth representative spoke. She was tall and elegant with silver skin and wise eyes. The Council is not here to punish Earth, she said calmly. We're here to acknowledge that the old rules don't work anymore. The Valorian Empire has grown too powerful. They ignore the treaties whenever it suits them. Perhaps it's time for the Council to remember that strength comes from innovation, not from stagnation. The Thalnori ambassador nodded slowly. The Council proposes a new treaty. Earth will share its technology with allied species. In return, we offer full membership in the Council and mutual defense agreements. Admiral Watts, sitting beside Chen, smiled. That's a generous offer. It's a necessary offer, the Koresh commander said bluntly. The Valorians were humiliated. They will return eventually. When they do, it won't be with 300 ships. It will be with 3,000. Earth alone cannot stand against that. But Earth and the Council together, that's a different story, Chen understood. The Battle of the Prometheus had changed the political landscape. The smaller species in the galaxy had hope now. They had seen that the Empire could be beaten. They wanted Earth as an ally. We'll need time to consider this, Watts said diplomatically. Of course, but don't take too long. The galaxy is watching to see what Earth does next. After the meeting ended, Chen and Watts stood alone in the conference room. What do you think? Watts asked. I think we just became very important very quickly, Chen replied, and that can be as dangerous as being overlooked. True, but better to be respected and feared than dismissed and conquered. Chen couldn't argue with that. 6 months after the battle, the Prometheus was complete. The reconstruction had transformed the ship while keeping its essential character. The new quantum drive was even more powerful than the original. The weapon systems had been refined and upgraded. The neural interface had been improved to be safer for human operators. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge, wearing her new uniform with its admiral's insignia. Her crew, promoted and decorated, stood at their stations. Commander Okoye was now Captain Okoye, her second in command. Lieutenant Park was now Commander Park, Chief Tactical Officer, and Cassie was back. Her consciousness fully restored and spread throughout the ship's new systems. Welcome home, Admiral, Cassie said warmly. Good to be back, Chen replied, settling into the captain's chair. How do you feel? Stronger, faster, ready for whatever comes next. Through the viewport, Chen could see the rest of the Prometheus fleet. 5 new warships were complete and operational. Another 12 were under construction at shipyards around the solar system. Each one was named after a crew member who died in the original battle. Earth's fleet had grown from 50 ships to 200. Other Council species had provided advanced technology in exchange for Kimura's designs. Humanity was no longer the weakest species in the galaxy. All ships report ready for departure, Okoye reported. Where are we going? Park asked.